28th, 2015 meeting of the Public Safety Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Chairman Ansello.
Here.
Mr. Baroth. Ms. Boyce is excused. Mr. Howland. Here. Mr. Willie Lightfoot is excused. Mr. Marionetti. Here. Mr. Michike. Here. Mr. Morelli. Here. Mr. Yolovich. Here. President Adair.
Here. Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
There's not.
And is there anyone present who's not signed up to speak who would like to address the committee at this time? The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the March 23rd, 2015 minutes before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business.
Referral 15-0126.
Moved by Legislator Michike, seconded by Legislator Howland. Is there any discussion? Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, I've got a couple questions. The first is, I'm always pleased when we get a grant that increases, and this one increased by 10%. Is that 10% increase relatively typical, or is it a surprise we got that increase?
Through the chair, it's not typical. I applied for more money to cover the increases in salaries and in fringe benefits, as well as some money for travel for training.
Thank you. And then through the chair of the administration, what sort of amount are we expecting to recover based on past performance?
Through the chair, I can tell you that last year we recovered approximately $740,000 through the various programs that were undertaken for prosecution.
Thank you. And then through the chair, one final question. And it's pretty, most of it's self-explanatory, but there's a phrase saying that one of the things it does, we're going to use the funds for, is to, quote, increase voluntary compliance. How do we go about increasing voluntary compliance? For example, I mean, I'm really unclear on that. Thank you.
Can you direct me, through the chair, can you direct me to the particular section?
Sure. It's in the second paragraph. It says, this grant will provide funding to, et cetera. And then it says, about 4 lines down, and to increase voluntary compliance with applicable tax laws, period.
The thrust of that is through what's commonly known as splash that results from prosecutions involving these types of subject matters. The agencies involved will get a run of people filing, and I believe we probably could have stated that somewhat better, but that's typically what happens when there's prosecution in one of these areas, and it's well known. They get a run of people.
That makes, I was really kind of, that makes perfect sense. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0127.
Moved by Legislator Howland, seconded by Legislator Marionetti. Is there any discussion? Yes, Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, can you please explain how the defendants in the pretrial program are being monitored?
Through the chair, Bob Burns from the Office of Probation. They're being monitored in a variety of ways, kind of a graduated level based on their particular situations. Some of the lower risk individuals who are released on their recognizance are simply calling in, checking in with a pretrial worker, making sure they know when they have to go back to court. Other individuals, based on the assessment made by pretrial workers, are coming in on a regular basis, seeing the pretrial worker, not unlike convicted offenders see a probation officer. So it depends on the level of risk, the level of stability in the person's life.
Thank you.
Yes, Legislator Baroth.
Thank you. 1 second. Thank you very much. Through the chair of the administration, you mentioned the case managers, and you compare them to the probation officers. I guess my question is, what's the typical case manager's load for the enhanced pretrial program through the chair?
Through the chair, I'd have to check, and I can get back to you with some exact numbers, but I believe it's in the area of 60 or 70 per worker. But let me check that and find out definitively, and we can get that information to you.
Okay, thank you. And then related to that, and it's just, I think, suspect just as important, is through the chair, I mean, what's the average length of time that your typical, I don't want to say client, but the individual involved is working with the case manager? I mean, so is this something that goes on for weeks, months, or et cetera? Could you provide an average time span as well of their involvement in the system before disposition?
Through the chair, similarly, I can get exact information because I know the director there keeps information on length of stay, length of time. It's usually just a few months.
Okay.
There are some programs, some DWI-related programs that are not funded through this specific grant that it's longer than that. But let me find out, and I can add that to our data that we get to you.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The item carries. And next item, please.
Referral 15-0128.
Moved by legislator Marionetti, seconded by legislator Yolovich. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, have these criminal background checks on healthcare support advisors been done in the past?
Through the chair, the Sheriff's Office began conducting these a number of years ago to minimize, or actually to improve the safety and security of citizens who are receiving home health care services to ensure proper criminal checks are being done. I can get the number of years, but it's been a while.
If you could get that to us in writing, that would be great. Also, does the Sheriff's Office do this for other companies, or is this just a particular case?
Through the chair, I'll have to get back to you to confirm that they're the only one. We have an annual report that summarizes. I think there may be some other similar services, healthcare, but I want to double check that before I give you a firm answer.
Okay. Is it possible you could give us the listing of all the companies that the sheriff does this with?
Yeah,
Thank you.
let's get that for you tomorrow.
Great. Thank you
Through
very
the
much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The item carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0129.
Moved by legislator Yolovich, seconded by President Adair. Any discussion? Legislator Brock.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, I have a couple questions. I know that this contract defines the price of a gallon as 10 cents more than the New York State contract price. What is the current New York State contract price?
Through the chair, the contract price to Fairport is $1.43 for regular, $2.01.9 for diesel.
Through the chair of the administration, $1.43 a gallon?
Through the chair, that's correct. Well, that seemed low. That's not, I requested because I knew you were going to ask, and that was the number that we were given. I will double check that for you.
Because if that's the correct number, I would love to show up at the same place. But wow. Okay.
Well, there's no tax, so I think that's why.
That would be it. That makes sense. Okay, thank you. So I was just shocked for a second there. Which this could be worthy of a conversation about taxes at some point in time. But I believe it. Thank you. Okay. Now, through the chair of the administration, I know we pay 10 cents more than the contract price, and I'm just curious, how do we come to 10 cents more? Is this just an agreement? Why 10 cents?
Through the chair, we had this similar agreements with Henrietta, I think Ogden, Chili, and that it was deemed a reasonable price to cover the overhead of running a pump station, which is very expensive, which costs us a lot more to do that on our own.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, what's the closest fueling station for Zone A if Fairport's fuel isn't used through the chair?
Through the chair, there's actually 3 fueling stations in A. It's considered part of A zone, which is Penfield, Pittsford, Perrington, and we assist with Webster. There are 2 stations in Penfield, one on Jackson Road and one on 5 Mile Line, and then this one's on Route 31. In Perrington, the addition of the Perrington pump was to prevent the Perrington cars from having to drive to Penfield during heavy traffic, particularly in the afternoon, so they wouldn't waste gas or be out of their district as long as they'd have to. So this was added probably 10 years ago, and it's worked out very well.
Okay, thank you. And then through the chair of the administration, am I correct to understand then that there were actually, if I got the number right, 4 fueling stations that we utilize in the Zone A?
Through the chair, off the top of my head, there are 3 in Zone A: Jackson, 5 Mile Line, and this one on Route 31.
Yes, but plus Fairport now.
No, this is Fairport School Bus Garage.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood that. So there'll be 3. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And the item carries. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? Okay, there being no other matters, the April 28th, 2015 meeting of the Public Safety Committee stands adjourned, and the next meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be Monday, May 18th, 2015 at 5:30. Thank you.